and it's like I'm dreaming.
Some stories in football do not begin in the polished academies or under the glow of floodlights. They begin in the chaos of the streets, on rough concrete pitches where the lines are faded, where goalposts are built from old jackets, and where the ball is worn out long before the game ends. This is the story of a boy who had nothing but a ball. No money, no security, no clear future, only the hunger to play and the courage to fight. Football was not a hobby, football was survival. His parents had come to Germany as refugees, escaping the brutal civil war in Sierra Leone. They dreamed of safety, of giving their children a chance at a better life. But their new home, Berlin-Neukölln, was no paradise. It was tough, direct, and unforgiving. For the boy, that reality shaped everything. Football became more than sport. It became identity. It became a shield. On the streets of Berlin, a ball could give you respect, even when nothing else could. He played for hours against older, stronger kids, and instead of backing down, he thrived. If he lost the ball, he fought twice as hard to win it back. If he fell, he stood up immediately. Street football is brutally honest. No referees, no protection, no mercy. And in this school of survival, the boy from Berlin learned the lesson that would define his life. Never back down. Soon, he joined Hertha Zehlendorf, a small local club with history in the city. Coaches noticed immediately. This kid had something the others didn't. Not just talent, but fire, a hardness only the streets can teach. From there came the step to VfB Stuttgart, where he broke into professional football. But he never forgot where he came from. Later, he would often say, "I am from the street. I know what it's like to have nothing. That never leaves you." And that truth was visible every time he played. He was not the most elegant, he was not the smoothest, but he was relentless. He fought for every duel, every tackle, every ball, as if his life depended on it. When he finally broke through, he wasn't known as a technician. He wasn't the kind of player who dazzled with tricks. He was a warrior, a defender opponents hated to face, someone who brought fear into attackers' eyes. That is what turned him into a machine. He took the aggression of the street and combined it with the discipline of the professional game. He learned to channel chaos into controlled destruction. From Stuttgart, the road led to Italy, to AS Roma. There, in one of the most tactical leagues in the world, he learned patience, positioning, and intelligence. Rome made him sharper, but the street fire never left him. Then came England, Chelsea, the Premier League. And it was there, in the most physical league in the world, that his style became fully clear. Fearless, uncompromising, dominant. Finally, the ultimate step, Real Madrid. From Berlin's concrete playgrounds to the Santiago Bernabéu. From makeshift goals to the biggest stage in football. It was more than a transfer. It was a symbol. Proof that a boy from Neukölln could rise to the very top of the sport. That hunger, discipline, and resilience could take you from nothing to the absolute summit. We have seen the child from the streets become a fighter. We have seen how hunger and discipline pushed him out of Berlin and into the heart of European football. But that was only the beginning. Because making a street kid into a professional, that's one story. Turning him into a killer machine, one of the most feared defenders in the world, that is the real story still to come. When the boy from Berlin first wore the shirt of VfB Stuttgart, it felt like a world away from the streets of Neukölln. Yet deep inside, the same hunger burned. The Bundesliga was not only new opponents, it was a new life. In the dressing room, he found experienced professionals, men who had played hundreds of matches in front of packed stadiums. For him, everything was new. The training methods, the media pressure, the expectations. But instead of being overwhelmed, he absorbed everything like a sponge. From the very first games, it became clear what set him apart. He didn't play cautiously, he didn't act like a rookie, he played as if he had always belonged. Aggressive, fearless, uncompromising. A defender who didn't just stop attacks, he broke strikers' confidence. The journey, however, was not straight. Injuries held him back. Critics appeared quickly. Some pundits said, he's too wild, too reckless. But he knew he could never abandon his aggression. It was his identity, his inheritance from the streets of Berlin. So he learned to control it. He spoke of coaches who shaped him, of older teammates who showed him when to stay calm and when to strike. This process created a defender who relied not only on power, but also on intelligence. Then came Italy. AS Roma signed him, and in Serie A, a league where tactics are sometimes more important than talent, a new classroom awaited. There he learned what positioning truly means. He learned patience. He learned how to dominate an opponent not only physically, but psychologically. Rome was a turning point. Off the pitch, he discovered a new culture. On the pitch, a new philosophy. In Italy, every mistake was punished. Every movement required calculation. For a kid raised on street football, it was a challenge. But it was exactly the kind of challenge he needed. Match by match, he grew. Italian newspapers praised him. Un difensore con l'anima di un guerriero. A defender with the soul of a warrior. Fans admired his passion, even when it sometimes boiled over. But soon, Europe took notice, especially in England, the most physical league in the world. Chelsea called. For the boy from Neukölln, this was the biggest stage of his career yet. In England, he blossomed fully. The intensity, the pace, the battles, it was made for him. The Premier League was not a league where you could hide, and he didn't want to hide. He wanted to confront the very best and break them. The media soon gave him names, the boss, the machine, but with praise came pressure. Every mistake was magnified, every performance judged. The spotlight was relentless. Yet he remembered the streets of Berlin. He remembered what it felt like to be doubted, to be knocked down, to be underestimated. Criticism hurt, but it never broke him. It fueled him. On the pitch, it made him louder, stronger, more present. His role with the German national team began to grow. Representing Germany was not just sport for him. It was proof that a child of refugees, a kid from Neukölln, now carried the colors of the country that once gave his family shelter. The symbolism of that moment never left him. When the anthem played, he thought of his parents, of the sacrifices, of the long shifts, of the struggles in Berlin. He knew he was playing not just for himself, but for everyone who shared a similar journey. And that is what made him more than just a defender. He became a leader, someone who led not with words alone, but with presence, with tackles, with eyes that told teammates, "Follow me." In London, he lifted trophies, fought in finals, stood under the lights of the Champions League. Millions watched him, but he always carried something invisible, the spirit of the street. When the defender arrived in London, he stepped onto one of the greatest stages in world football. Chelsea was more than just a club. It was a test. The Premier League is the toughest league on earth. Fast, physical, unforgiving. For someone forged on the streets of Berlin, it was the perfect arena. In his first training sessions, teammates and coaches immediately sensed he was not there to adapt quietly. He was there to dominate. His aggression, his presence, his body language, they set the tone. Still, nothing was guaranteed. In England, talent is not enough. Every mistake is punished. The fans grew used to his style quickly. Hard, uncompromising, fearless. When he went into a challenge, everyone knew the opponent would feel it, in body and in mind. He wasn't just defending, he was making a statement. The early years were not smooth. Injuries slowed him down. Coaching changes created uncertainty. Some weeks he was a starter, other weeks he sat on the bench. The media questioned him. Is he truly elite? Many players would have broken under that pressure, but not him. He remembered Neukölln. The streets had taught him to endure setbacks, to fight harder after every fall. Those memories became his fuel. Then came the 2020-21 season. Under coach Thomas Tuchel, everything changed. Suddenly, he was not just part of the squad, he was its backbone. In the Champions League, he rose to another level. Match after match, duel after duel. The semi-final against Real Madrid was a statement. He defended with fury and intelligence, blocking, chasing, commanding. Commentators called him unbreakable. Fans called him the Beast. In the final against Manchester City, he completed his journey. Chelsea became champions of Europe, and the boy from Berlin stood at the heart of it. For many, that night sealed his place among the world's best. After the victory, he spoke about his childhood, about his family's sacrifices. He said, "I always believed in myself, even when others doubted." These words were not cliches, they were the truth of a man who knew how far he had come. But London was not the end. Soon the call came from Madrid. Real Madrid, the club of Champions League legends, the place where only the very best survive. For him, it was a dream, but also a new trial, because at the Bernabéu, nothing is given. You are not celebrated for arriving. You are tested, judged, measured. The first games were difficult. A new language, new teammates, a new system. But he understood. This was not a setback. This was the next exam. He earned trust not through words, but through effort, through tackles, through blocks, through courage that showed he was willing to risk everything for the team. In Madrid, the fans love players who show heart, and he did exactly that. Soon his name echoed through the stands. Whenever he shut down an attacker with a ferocious challenge, he became a symbol of commitment and sacrifice. At the same time, he matured. In interviews, he spoke with calmness, with reflection. He spoke of responsibility, of being a role model. For younger players, he showed that football was not only about talent, it was about mentality. In the German national team, he became the leader of the defense. At tournaments, he faced the best strikers in the world, and even when the team struggled, his role was unquestionable. Today, he embodies the bridge between street and elite, between raw fight and professional discipline, between past and future. He is more than a defender. He is proof of what can happen when you refuse to stop fighting. When you watch the defender play today, it is easy to forget where it all began. At Real Madrid, he looks like a force of nature, dominant, fearless, full of authority. Yet his true greatness is not only in the tackles or the trophies, it is in his journey. From the streets of Berlin-Neukölln to the grandest stadiums in Europe, that path is more than a career, it is a symbol. For everyone who grows up without security, for those who are told, "You'll never make it," for all who know what it means to come from the bottom. Teammates describe him as someone who never lets up. Even in training, he fights as if it were a final. He himself says, "I always play as if it's my last game." That mentality makes him unpredictable. It makes him feared, and it is why fans today call him a machine. But beyond the hardness, there is another man. Off the pitch, he is deeply rooted in family. He supports social projects, funds schools in Sierra Leone, organizes aid programs, because he knows what it feels like to have nothing. In interviews, he speaks calmly, almost humbly. He emphasizes that he never wants to forget where he came from, that the street will always remain inside him, that the ball was never just a career, it was his lifeline. And this is his legacy. He proves that with discipline, hunger and courage, you can rise from anywhere, that your origins are not a weakness but fuel, that toughness does not mean destruction, it means strength. As for the future, he plays in Madrid, at the club with more Champions League trophies than any other. He is the defensive leader of the German national team, and his journey is far from over. But maybe the most important thing cannot be measured in statistics: influence. Kids in Berlin wear his shirt. In Sierra Leone, boys and girls dream when they see him on TV. For many, he is living proof. It is possible. He is not the most elegant player. He is not the quiet artist with the ball. He is the fighter, the warrior, the street kid who became the killer machine. And that is why he will be remembered. And now it's your turn. What do you think? Which moment of this defender impressed you the most? Was it the Champions League triumph with Chelsea, the tackles at the Bernabéu, or his journey from Neukölln? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next stories about players who changed football forever. And remember, football is more than technique, more than tactics. Football is mentality. Football is the street. Football is also you, with your story.